Hello, my name is Crystal and I'm your Hope Catalyst. Today I'm going to be telling you about how to deal with disappointments. If you're yet to click on my subscribe button and follow me from time to time, this is the good time for you to click on subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification button so you don't miss anything at all. I'm telling you today about how to deal with disappointment because one of the things that have happened to me in the last few weeks is a couple of disappointments. And, really, if we have to move on with life, then you need to attend to the disappointments and see how to move on. And really, if you think about it, why do we really get disappointed in the first place? It's probably because we have, so high expectations of different things, and then because you've set the bar, something else comes and it's not as high as you've set it, and as a result of that you really feel disappointed. And when you get disappointed, there are a lot of other feelings that come with it. You could feel sad, you could feel really bad. So sometimes last year I planned for 2022 and I had a couple of things that needed to be in place so that I would, have like a wow year. And pretty much a couple of my decisions for 2022 were hinged on two particular things happening really. I just believed if those two things happen, or I would have a good year. And so at some point, I got an email and I did not meet up with one of those things. You can imagine what happened to me. Practically, I became devastated. I was sad. I even cried. And so I got to the point of really asking myself if it was okay to even set bars at all, seeing that, I'd set this bar and I was looking up to it and I just didn't meet up. And so I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I did to actually deal with that disappointment and actually move on to set new standards. And I've not stopped setting a high bar for myself. I'm going to continue to set the bar really high, and I believe that I'm going to meet my expectations and even exceed them. And so let me also put it out there that disappointments are only normal. Everybody go through different disappointments at different times. For some of us, it's probably school. You want to go into study medicine. How many of you wanted to study medicine, but somehow you really found out that you did another maybe education at the end of the day because you just didn't meet up with a cutoff? Yeah, that's a disappointment because you have probably told yourself, and I'm one of those people. I really wanted to be a medical doctor growing up, and I worked very hard at it. But somehow today, I am here doing all the things that I'm doing, not a medical doctor, but I'm moving on with my life and doing really cool. So, yes, disappointments will come. And so, when disappointments come, how do we really handle them, or how do we deal with them and move on with our lives so that we're not in a perpetual state of being unhappy? So the first thing that I will say is acknowledge the disappointment. Try to understand what happened really. In my case, what I just realized was that a lot of people were applying for the same course that I was applying for. And, I just didn't meet the cutoff mark when I wrote the test. So for you, what is it exactly? So, because if you acknowledge it and understand exactly what had gone wrong or right with it, then you will know how to deal with it. So that's the first thing that I'm going to say that you should do. So yes, you heard me. Think about it right now. Why did the disappointment come? Was it that you set too high expectations? Was it that you did not prepare well enough? Was it that somehow maybe luck and something just didn't go right the way it should? So you tell me, and then I will go to the next point right now on what I did to actually go through the disappointment. So the second thing that I did basically was, I had to talk to somebody about it. If you have been following me, you know how I talk so much about the power of, connect, networks, support groups, and all of that. But in this case, the person that I actually talked to about it was my spouse. And for you, you could be talking to your friends about it, you could be talking to family, you can be talking to a therapist, but really you need to talk through it and, try to to get past it. And I remember that, immediately I got the email that I was not selected. I just burst out crying. That was the first thing that I did, really. And, eventually, I sat with my spouse later in the night, and then I told him about how, I just got an email and I wasn't selected. And and thanks goodness he actually did not go on to try to help me resolve it or say this was what the issues were, or maybe another one will come, and all of those myths of how to grieve and all of that. He just basically listened to me, and just having someone listen to me was very good. He actually helped me to feel heard, and that was very good. And I will go on to tell you the next thing that I think is really very important when it comes to handling disappointment. I would say, journal, journal, journal. If you also follow me, you know how I've talked about journaling so much and all of that. But you know why it is good to journal? One of the key things that it does for you is you're able to remind yourself of the things that have worked for you before and how you have dealt with issues even when those things happen. And so, pretty much for me, I just needed to remind myself that I was capable of doing things, because I had done other things, I had done other applications, and they had worked. And this one did not work, and reminding myself that yes, some things in life do not work as planned, but then that doesn't make me a failure. So the fact that you failed at something does not define you as a failure. Basically, that process just didn't work. So don't dwell on the negativity. You need to focus and dwell on the positives, and the only way you are reminded of the positives in your life, it's basically if you have a habit of journaling, or a habit of writing down, or a storage jar basically that has a store of the good of things that have absolutely worked in your life. So that is it for me. So, and then finally, I'm going to say it to you like I said it to myself: try again. The only way to handle it and deal with it is you try again. Don't stop at it. Don't say because this one did not work, you're not going to try something else. Or because you got disappointed in this relationship, I'm not going to try any other relationship because every other relationship might not just work. So try again. The first thing I told you is to acknowledge it, understand what happened. The second one is talk to somebody about it. I said you could talk to your spouse, or you could talk to your therapist. I'm a grief therapist, right? And I can listen to you and help you go through the process and get out of it. And then thirdly, you want to make sure that you journal, focusing on the positives and not the negatives. And finally, my friend, you want to make sure that you try again. If this has really helped you, make sure that you drop me a comment and I can learn from you also. And make sure also to share it with your friends, loved ones, and family, so that they also can know how to handle and deal with their disappointment. Have a lovely day.